Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for yet another predictions video. So, as you can see, there's action going on right now. Week number 8. We are finishing up June Joust qualifiers. Um, I got the no spoilers up, so I do not know what's going down. Um, I know results from the first two games on Thursday, but not any of them for today. So we did have a little bit of an upset. Paris did end up beating Boston 3-2. I would have picked Boston in that one. And then Dallas edged out Florida 3-2, which in my mind I had Dallas winning that one 3-1. So a little bit closer than I expected, but not too stunned either way. Dallas in really good shape to make the knockout stages for the June Joust. But Florida also, they still have a pretty slight chance. They're at 1-2, so if they sweep, depending on how the map differentials sweep, carry out, they could end up making it. Last time out, Dallas made it with a 2-2 record. So, for Mayhem, they need a really good showing against Washington later today. But Boston, Paris, and Dallas now all at 2-1, so a win and they're guaranteed into those knockouts, and a loss, and it's going to come down to map differential and head to head. So some interesting stuff going on there. But we're going to get into predictions for the rest of the games. So the morning matches today, we had the Charge taking on Philly. So I went back and forth a couple times on this one because Philly had a really rough start. They lost their first two. The Charge did go 1-1 out of their first two. I think Philly wins this one though 3-1. It's hard to keep a good team like this down for long. I think they're going to make the adjustments. They have a pretty solid coaching staff. It's been established. And I think that the way they're seeing it, there's pretty much one, maybe two, but there's that bottom spot for the knockouts in the Eastern region that they could snag if they win both of their matches. So I think they're going to come out with a fire under them. Charge looked better than they did in the Melee, but I still think Philly's a pretty vastly superior team, so got them taking that one 3-1. Then you got Seoul Dynasty taking on the Hunters. Again, I think Seoul wins that one 3-1. I just don't quite trust the Hunters in this new meta out here. I think that they've been using a decent amount of Ashe over in the Eastern region. And Fitz is really really good. I had some issues with Prophet's Echo, but I think it's coming along. The more and more playtime that he gets on it, and I think that they have their tank line is just better than the Hunters, and obviously one of the top ones in the entire East. You got Gesture, you got the combinations of him and Marvel that they've used. You also have Tuyu, who I think is pretty underrated as an off tank. So I think that one's pretty close, but Hunters have gotten off to slow starts. I think Soul jumps out to a nice little lead and takes it home 3-1. And then Valiant versus Spark. Not too much to say here. Spark looked really good so far this stage. Valiant still look lost. So taking the Spark, I'll say that one's a 3-0. Pretty easy victory. Again, there aren't many bright spots right now for the Valiant. There really aren't, which is sad to see. But yeah, definitely taking the Spark in that one. So for today, as you can see, Gladiators and Uprising finished probably an hour or two ago. Boston, looking improved. They did lose a very close one to Paris, but Gladiators looking strong as well. So I'm thinking Gladiators take this one, and I think it's close. No, I'm gonna say Gladiators 3-0. I'm quite confident in them right now. They look really good. Boston's made some strides this stage for sure. But again, it's just for me, it's a pretty sizable DPS difference. I think supports as well. For Gladiators, Skewed has been a really, really nice addition. Him rotating in and out with Moth. I think he surprised a lot of people. A lot of people thought it would just be Shu and Shu and Moth, but Skewed has been really effective. Moth has still been really good when he's been in, and I think Shu's had a bounce back season because I thought he had a great debut season in season 2, but he struggled last year on the Charge. I thought. But he's been really, really good on the Batiste when need be. His Ana is obviously extremely good as well. And the Zen as well if needed. So I've seen that in this stage, but I think he's in a really good spot right now. Gladiators just kind of rolling, so I think they take that one 3-0, even though Boston made it interesting at points. Would be my guess. Then you got Shock versus Titans, taking the Shock. Titans looking pretty rough and ragged still. I'm gonna say Shock clean sweep 3-0. They got a nice victory against Dallas. Pretty tightly contested, but we got to see Glister pop off a bit on the Widowmaker. Um, there's going to be a lot of Winston. There's going to be a lot of Arisa. Smurf is extremely good at both of those. So I think Shock's in a really good position in this meta. I think that they're going to roll into the knockouts and probably win a match or two in the knockouts and go to the May Melee, or sorry, the June Joust finals in Hawaii. Then you got Florida Mayhem versus Justice. Gonna take Florida in this one. Justice looked pretty lost in this newer meta. They haven't won a map yet in the June Joust. They've tied a couple, but that's it. Florida's in desperation mode. They need a win and some help. So I think they're gonna roll. I think it's 3-0. I thought that they played really well against Dallas. I went back and watched that game late last night. And yeah, Florida looked good. I thought Dallas was a little bit better, which is why they ended up taking it. But there were times where Florida was dominant in that matchup. And they contested Dallas pretty darn well. Just a couple of little mistakes here and there. But this is a team that's pretty well suited for this meta. So I think that they wipe out Justice and give themselves a chance to get into those knockout matches. LA Valiant versus Philly Fusion is after that. Again, I got Philadelphia winning this one easily, assuming that they did win against Guangzhou. This is going to be their chance, to get that second victory and give themselves a shot, to get into that, to get into the last four who go into the knockouts for the June Joust. If they beat the Charge, then the Charge would be knocked down to 1 and 2. So I think Philly's got a really nice chance to sneak in at 4, assuming that they did take down the Charge, because I don't see them having any trouble with the Valiant. It's a 3-0. If you see the location, it says Hangzhou Future Sci-Tech City Academy Exchange Center, which is an absolute mouthful. But yes, there are live events. First time in over 400 days, I believe, that there's been a live in-person event. So that is awesome. It'll be cool to see that. With a lot of restrictions, being lessened, more things being opened up. Hopefully, we see that more and more in the future. But yeah, I think Philly wins that one very easily. Then you got Seoul versus Charge. Once again, I'm going to take the Dynasty here. If they take 2 wins here, they go to 3-1. And that will punch their ticket into those knockouts. So I think they get it done against Charge. Charge are either going to be 2-1 or 1-2. So must win for them. But like I said, I really like this Dynasty team. I think Creative has been one of the standouts for me this year. Pretty solid last year, but I think he's really coming into his own and having a very, very good year. One of the underrated supports in the league for me. And then you got the Hunters versus the Spark. This will be my upset. Screw it. Chengdu 3-1. Again, they still have, this team still has weapons. They're pretty loaded. DPS wise. And I think this is a pretty good meta for Aming. I think he's going to see more playtime. In their next couple of matches. And once again, I think Spark's gonna just, they might have a little bit of a stinker, might come in here. I'm assuming they're gonna be 3-0. But I think that's going to kind of get to their heads a little bit, and that's going to open up some avenues for Hunters. A lot of times Chengdu wins matches when you kind of don't expect them to, or in like the weirdest scenarios. So that's going to be my upset of the week. Hunters have struggled a little bit, last few weeks after a really hot start, but I think that they get this one back. And that is the encore. So then we go to Paris Eternal versus LA Gladiators. So Gladiators, they're either 3-0 or 2-1. We're going to find out in a second here. But Paris sitting at 2-1. They win this matchup and they're in. They're into those knockouts and they're going to give themselves a chance to get to that get to the date in Hawaii. Similar thing for Gladiators. If they're 3-0, they're basically locked. If they're 2-1, then they need a win to be sure. I'm gonna take Gladiators in this one. I'm gonna say 3-1. Onigod has been improving pretty rapidly. He's one of the guys that stood out to me on Paris. Paris did lose Elivote. He left the team. I believe he retired, at least for the moment. I know he was dealing with wrist injury. So Elivote's a guy who's been around for a long time. Originally he was going to debut in season 2, and he did with the Washington Justice, but has bounced around a bit since then. Really solid off tank player. So sad to see a guy who's been grinding and playing this game for a really long time stepping away. Hopefully he's able to find something else that he really enjoys and pursue that, get his wrist healthy, maybe come back. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? But like I said, Gladiators, I just like the team right now. They're a little bit more well-rounded. But Paris have impressed me this stage, so I don't think they make it easy. Say 3-1. Then we got Vancouver versus Dallas. Gonna take the fuel here, winning it pretty easily. We're gonna say 3-0. Again, Vancouver struggled mightily. Dallas looking really solid. And capping off, you got Shock taking on Justice, and I'm gonna take the Shock in that one. Pretty convincing win as well there. So I think we're gonna set ourselves up with Shock, Dallas, Gladiators looking really good. A couple of the favorites. To make it through the knockouts. And it's going to be really interesting to see the positioning here. The positioning is so important. As you can see, on Sunday are going to be all the matches to determine, who's going to that June Joust Final Four. So, if the big thing for these teams is going to be avoiding the other big dogs. Obviously Atlanta is a very scary team as well. We'll see if Paris is in there. We could still have a couple of a couple of changes. Florida could still make their way in, and we all know that they're dangerous if they make it. So, super exciting. I think we're gonna have some great matches. We're gonna have a couple of blowouts for sure. But again, super important for seeding. This is going to determine who is getting into that June Joust. So I am excited. Hope you guys are as well. I'm going to turn spoilers on so we see how we did. Wait. Okay, they don't want to show me. They don't want to show me what happened. Standings, potential. No, okay. Oh my gosh, they won't let me see the results. I need to know. Maybe if I log out, they won't care about spoilers anymore. Well, we'll never know, boys. Unlucky. So, yeah, same thing with standings. So, I guess we'll find out in a couple of days. On Sunday, I will post predictions for the June Joust qualifiers because it's going to be set up by then. We'll have our matches there. Looks like okay, Shock and Vancouver are. Looks like they're at halftime, showing some highlights. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Sorry about the difficulties. I'll have to go do some research on your own to see who won those first couple of games. But yeah, comment down below what you think's going down this week. Any, obviously some of the teams have already been eliminated from the knockouts over here in the West. But let me know if you think there are any crazy upsets coming. Any team's gonna sneak into those knockouts that you don't think, or that a lot of people don't think. Oh, the Shock crushed 3-0. So no surprise there. Vancouver didn't get a single point. That is rough. So, yeah, we got some exciting matches though coming up over the next few days. So definitely tune into some OWL. Hopefully there will be some exciting news about about potential homesteads, maybe. Or maybe it'll be too late this year, but either way, it's coming pretty soon. But I will stop rambling now. I hope you have yourselves a absolutely wonderful weekend, and then I'll see you in the next one.